this refers to some properties of real numbers and things that we're actually going to learn next class. We haven't covered yet, but you know that the product of two positive numbers is positive. Positive times positive is positive. If you don't know that, we will review that next class, but that's just the fact. You can say 3 groups of 5 is 15. Okay, so this, you can think of the same thing when you have a positive times a negative. You could say 3 groups of -5. So 3 times -5 is just 1, 2, 3 groups of -5 added together. -5, -10, -15. Okay? You can also derive the product of two negatives in this way. You're saying the negative of what you get when you do 3 groups of -5. 3 groups of -5 we just did is -15, and we want the negative of that. So we actually get positive 15. Okay? And these are some of the rules that we're going to use. Multiplication property of -1 means it'll turn any number to its opposite. The associative property is how you group them. We're going to cover this next class. Okay? Anyway, we come down here and we get a basic rule, which is negative times negative is positive. Just like positive times positive is positive. If it's the same sign, it's positive. And if it's opposite signs, it's negative. So here's that rule laid out pretty basically. Product of two real numbers with different signs is negative. The product of two real numbers with same signs is positive. Okay, positive times negative is negative. Negative times positive is negative. When they're the same, positive times positive is positive, or negative times negative, it's positive. Okay, what we're going to do here is we're going to start by multiplying these real numbers, and we can actually start by looking at the sign of the product we can determine it by looking at the signs of the things we're multiplying, okay? Remember, same sign positive, opposite sign negative. So let's look at this first one. 12 times -8, well, we know that positive times negative is negative, and then just 12 times 8 is 96. So -96. 24 times 0.5. Well, we have positive times positive, so it's going to be positive. And if we do 24 times 0.5, or 1/2 of 24, we get 12. Here, we look at the signs. We say we have one of each. We have a negative number and a positive number. Negative times positive is negative. And when we multiply these fractions, we do numerator times numerator. 3 times 1 is 3. 4 times 2 is 8 for the denominator. And remember, it was negative because the signs were opposite. So -3/8. And here we have a number, a base -3, raised to the second power. So what we're saying here is this number multiplied twice. So we have a negative times a negative. It's going to be positive. And 3 times 3 is 9. Okay? So you have a got it problem. And here is your got it problem. Give it a shot. Now, as you saw in this last problem, -3 on the last slide, -3 squared, or -3 times -3 is 9. That suggests that the square root of 9 can be -3, right? Because that number times itself equals 9. So that means that -3 is a square root of 9. And in fact, we are then revealing is that there is the possibility of 2 answers when you square root 9. 3 and -3, okay? And we represent it by the negative of that if we wanted to come up with -3, okay? Every positive real number has a positive and negative square root, and so when they put this in front of here, what they're saying is we're talking about both answers. So if I say the square root of 9, I should be able to say plus or minus -3, meaning positive 3 squared is 9, and -3 squared is also 9, okay? So let's look at the problem. What is the simplified form of each expression? If they want to know, they want to say the negative of the square root of 25. We're going to take the principal square root of 25, which is 5, and we're making it negative. So the negative square root of 25 is going to be -5. Okay? That means -5 times -5 is 25. Yes? Okay. Now we're going to do the same thing again. We want to identify both the positive and negative square roots of 4 over 49. Okay, remember you can square root the numerator and denominator separately. Square root of 4 is 2. Square root of 49 is 7. So we're saying plus or minus 2/7, meaning 2/7 and negative 2/7 both square to be 4 over 49. So then here is your got it problem. Give it a shot, see how you do. Okay, you can read this on your own. I want to take away the technical language of it and just show you that if you have three numbers where a times b equals c, then you can actually divide c by one of those numbers and get the other number. And it's based on this idea here, okay? They call this a triangle flashcard for multiplication and division. And here's the idea. If 12 times 2 equals 24, then 24 divided by 2 equals 12, or 24 divided by 12 equals 2. Or another way to say it is 12 is equal to 24 divided by 2. That's what they're saying here, regardless of whether the numbers are positive or negative. Okay? So here's the idea that we're getting at. The quotient of two real numbers with different signs is negative. Okay? Just like 5 times negative 4 is negative 20, you can go backwards and say negative 20 divided by one of those numbers, 5, is the other number, negative 4. Okay? And so different signs, negative. Same signs, positive. Just like multiplication. It's the same idea. Different signs, negative, same sign, positive. Okay? And there's this other bit of note they want to add here, division involving 0, okay? The quotient of 0 in any number is 0. If you do 0 divided by 8, you get 0, but you can't divide by 0. And this is something I can explain later, but it has to do with, you can take 0 things and split them equally into 8 groups. Each group is nothing because there was nothing to split up, but you can't take 8 things and put them nowhere. Okay, you can't do it. That just doesn't give usually what you do is you say how big is each group when you do that, but if you don't have any groups, you can't say what each group is because there's 0 groups and it's undefined in mathematics. That's going to come up a bunch. So here's a word problem based in this. Skydiver's elevation changes by negative 3,600 feet in 4 minutes after the parachute opens. So what's the average change in their elevation each minute? Well, we take that drop, that's why it's negative, of 3,600 feet, and we split it equally among the 4 minutes. Negative 3,600 divided by 4. Negative divided by positive is negative, and 3,600 divided by 4 is 900. So negative 900 feet per minute. Okay, how is it similar to multiplying when you divide? Okay, you find the sign of the quotient. It's the same sign positive, different signs negative, and that's the idea. Okay, so here's your got it problem. You make 5 withdrawals from your bank of equal amounts. And the total you withdrew was $360. So if it's a withdrawal, that's a negative number because it's dropping, negative 360, and you want to split that amount total. You want to say that was because of 5 equal withdrawals, each one being some small part of it. So negative 360 divided by 5, what's the change in your account each time you made a withdrawal? How much did it drop by? If it drops by 360 total after 5 equal withdrawals. All right, so you remember the additive inverse? You add its opposite. 4 plus negative 4 gives you 0. Well, there's a multiplicative inverse property of multiplication, and this is a little bit different. You're going to multiply by the multiplicative inverse to get 1. Times 1 over a equals 1. Negative 4 times 1 over negative 4. Negative times negative is positive, and this would then give you 4 over 4, which is 1. Okay, so you always multiply some number by 1 over that number, and you'll get 1. Okay, for those of you that are interested in the technical aspect, I've put this here. Essentially, I'm going to just tell you that what this is leading to is why you can have a rule for dividing fractions where you just do the reciprocal of the second number and you turn it into multiplication. If you want to talk through this, it's kind of interesting and it's cool math, but I will put that aside and let you ask me about that. Okay? Even though I didn't explain that last slide in detail. It was a bit technical. I do want to do a problem that demonstrates what it was talking about. And here it is. What's the value of x over y when x is equal to negative 3/4 and y is equal to negative 2/3? Well, when you have x over y, what you're saying is division, right? That number divided by that number. So what you get here is, and this will say, rewrite the expression as, instead of x over y, you're doing x divided by y like this, and then plug in those numbers. X is negative 3/4, y is negative 2/3. So there you have it written like that. And then this is what we're going to do. We're going to turn this into a multiplication problem by taking the reciprocal of this. Okay? You might have heard keep, change, change, or stay, switch, flip. Both of those, keep, change, change, or stay, switch, flip, indicate that the first number stays the same. This changes from division to multiplication at the exact same time that this turns into its reciprocal. You flip it, but do not change the sign. Okay? And then negative times negative is positive, 3 times 3 is 9, and 4 times 2 is 8. So numerator times numerator is numerator, denominator times denominator is denominator, and we get 9 over 8 as the answer. So the correct answer in the multiple choice above is D. Okay? X over y is the same as x divided by y. You plug those numbers in and turn it to multiplication by taking the reciprocal of the second number and then doing the multiplication. Okay, you're going to do this got it problem. When you get back, I'm going to actually give an explanation for this, so it's just a little easier. I'll try and make it quick. So try it first. So here I've written out the solution. Essentially, I've written the original problem, and then I did stay, switch, flip, or keep, change, change. Kept this as what it was, changed this to multiplication, and by changing this to its reciprocal. And now that it's multiplication, I just do top times top, bottom times bottom. And here, we can simplify this by dividing top and bottom by 2. By the way, 2 over 2 equals 1. And if you divide by 1, you get the same value. It just looks different. So negative 6 over 20 simplifies to negative 3 over 10. And there it is. So what this says is 3/4 divided by negative 5/2 equivalent to the negative of 3/4 divided by 5/2? And it certainly is. You can actually always do that. You can say, okay, when it's multiplying or dividing, you can just say opposite signs is going to be negative, so I'm going to take the negative of whatever I get when I use the numbers positively. So 3/4 divided by 5/2, which is right there, and then take the negative at the end. Yes? Positive divided by negative is negative, and the opposite of a positive divided by a positive is also negative. So you're going to get the same number, and you're also going to get the same sign. So you're good to go. Here's your lesson check. I know fractions are a struggle for some kids. You'll just have to learn them. There's no way around it. If you don't know it now, you're going to need to learn them. So hopefully you can ask me questions in class if you got, but try these lesson check problems and see how you do.